We don't see evidence of it. We don't see records of it. They don't produce any records, but they say these numbers. And we have no way of telling whether that's true or false, but we do have a constitution that tells us how to act.
Truth. Where do you get your news? How do you go about, discerning what's real and what's
That's a great question. Without opening a whole can of worms, I have really discovered that the 24/7 TV news, it doesn't matter, which station you're watching. They're all on the same page. Anybody who differs from what is said on television news is not going to be able to be on television. They won't allow it. And it is controlled, and that's on record, that there's a very small clique of people that control the media in our country. So if something's on the mainstream news, you can take it with a grain of salt. Just for fun, let's just go out into the weeds for a minute and talk about Syria. In Syria, we were told that Assad was this just crazy monster gassing his own people. It didn't make any sense. He was trying to get into the UN and get accepted by there, but just when that looked good, he suddenly gassed all his own people. Okay, you've got all these news sites telling you this. Then you've got independent news people. Some had been over in person in Syria and talked to Syrians personally, and they're saying, no, he didn't do that. This was a completely different wing of people. This was not part of the Syrian government. This was something called the Free Syrian Army, which had nothing to do with the actual Syrian army. There's a completely different group. They're the ones responsible to make it look like Assad did this. It wasn't him. So now you've got these two points of view. Obviously, on its face, some of these people have been there in person, and I can't see that they have much to gain by telling lies about that in Assad's favor. That doesn't make any sense to me. They're not Syrians, one of them's a Canadian, Eva Bartlett. So on its face, I kind of might lean one way, but what's more important is that I have an anchor. I have a measure, and that would be the Constitution. We don't have authority to go across to someone who hasn't literally come here and declared war and attack them, precisely because it's so hard to really assess what's going on in some place so far away. You have got to have something to measure your actions by and something to guide your actions so that you're not just getting riled up, like you say, and they say, oh, this has happened. Oh, then let's all rally for war with all these countries that haven't demonstrably done anything to us. We don't see evidence of it. We don't see records of it. They don't produce any records, but they say these numbers. And we have no way of telling whether that's true or false, but we do have a constitution that tells us how to act. And so if you follow that, and if you have that as your guidepost, you're not going to go too far astray. That's what I base mine on, is let's have principles in place and adhere to them because they work.
Thanks for listening to The Adrian Sinclair Show. You can find previous episodes on the Apodcast multi-channel network at apodcast.com. You can also stream this podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Podbean, and other audio platforms. And if you subscribe to our weekly newsletter, you'll get convenient short summaries of podcasts you may have missed. So check it out. And lastly, please support us by sharing our episodes on social media. We really appreciate it. Thanks.